Today we heard John McCain acknowledge that Sarah Palin and he don't always see eye to eye. Reports of tension between the two running mates and their aides have been spreading through the news media over the past few days. Let's go to Howard Kurtz of CNN's Reliable Sources and the Washington Post. He's looking at this storyline that seems to be emerging. What are you picking up, Howie?
Well, the hottest story in this final week of the campaign isn't about the top of the ticket, amazingly enough. The media are obsessed, once again, with Sarah Palin.
As a political observer said today, John McCain trying to stir up buyer's remorse. Advisors are already pointing the fingers at one another and at Sarah Palin. One advisor today telling CNN she's a diva.
As some polls show a majority of voters deeming Palin unqualified to be vice president, the finger-pointing in Republican circles is intensifying. The press quoting unnamed Palin people as saying the McCain campaign has mishandled her. McCain loyalists blaming the Alaska governor for, among other things, going rogue. The latest example, Palin defending herself on those expensive designer outfits just when campaign officials were hoping the flap would fade.
Those clothes, they are not my property, just like the lighting and the staging and everything else that the RNC purchased. I'm not taking them with me.
The shootout among warring GOP factions has stunned even political veterans.
What is rare is to have campaign aides putting a harpoon in the candidate, and then some of the candidate's friends firing back.
I think Governor Palin has been ill-served by some of the staff, and she's now particularly ill-served that they're shooting at her on background, saying things that I don't believe are true.
Others say the criticism is demeaning to a female candidate.
Diva, right. You know, I love that, as if there isn't some sexism there, please. But at any rate, I think there is. Excuse me.
The last time I bought a suit.
And the unspoken assumption in many of these stories is that the McCain-Palin ticket is headed for defeat next week.
I think she is absolutely running for 2012. She knows she's not going to be elected vice president this year.
The most striking thing about this McCain versus Palin subplot is that nobody's names are attached. Journalists are allowing both sides to take their potshots from behind a curtain of anonymity. Wolf?
Why do you believe, Howie, the media is paying so much attention to this reported spat?
Well, on one level, Wolf, it's juicy stuff. The Politico, quoting yet another unnamed McCain advisor today, is saying Palin isn't a diva. She's a whack job, something that nobody would say if they had to be on the record. But more importantly, Wolf, I think that many journalists perceive, and some of them project, that Obama is pulling away in this contest, that the race is all but over, and therefore the internecine sniping on the Republican side is kind of filling a void that ordinarily we'd all be very, very focused on what's going to happen next Tuesday.
Howie, thanks very much. Let's assess what's going on right now with Steve Hayes, a senior writer for the Weekly Standard. He's also a member of the best political team on television. Why, Steve, are some Republicans, including some inside the McCain-Palin camp, airing their dirty linen, if you will, only a week or 10 days before an election?
Well, I think anytime you have a candidate that's behind in the polls, as John McCain is, and the media, as Howie Kurtz says, sort of moving on to a new narrative, the McCain advisors, the people working for John McCain and Sarah Palin are trying to get their version of the story out first. The first version of the story being often the one that sticks. You know, it's terribly unhelpful to John McCain a week before the campaign. And I think, Howie's point about the media coverage of this is very interesting, because if you remember before the New Hampshire Democratic primary, when Barack Obama was ahead in the polls, it was assumed that he was going to win. You had Bill Clinton essentially saying, look, we're the victim of a tidal wave of political support. And then Hillary Clinton coming back and winning. So there's a lot that can still happen, I think.
Is there going to be any retribution either in these final days or after the election, irrespective of who wins?
Yeah, I think there will be. I mean, I think we're likely to see a continuation of this finger pointing no matter what happens. But if John McCain and Sarah Palin are to lose, I think you'll certainly see the McCain campaign sort of split into several different factions, people who are pro-Sarah Palin, people who are John McCain loyalists. You've got the Bush leftovers who were brought in to help advise Sarah Palin and John McCain. Yeah, and I think it will, in a sense, be a free-for-all at that point.
If Obama were to win the election next Tuesday and he's ahead of the polls, as you know, what happens to Sarah Palin? Does she automatically become the, quote, leader of the Republican Party?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd say that she's going to be the leader of the party, but she will certainly be one of the leaders of the party. I mean, she's a charismatic person. She gives a great speech. She has got, you know, from my time watching her, traveling with her, looking at her giving speeches on the stump, she has a masterful sense of political timing. I mean, those are all skills that I think make it almost certain that she's likely to stick around. On the other hand, she's got a lot of detractors. She's got people within the Republican Party, within the conservative movement, who don't like her, who don't think that she's smart enough to be a national leader, and I expect that we'll hear them say so.
Steve Hayes, thanks very much for coming in.
Sure, Wolf.
And we're standing by to hear from